The night we returned to our ancestral village after almost 7 or 8 years, the air itself felt heavier, thicker, as if the road remembered us. Our van rattled through the narrow path lined with twisted bamboo and dusty trees, their branches bending inward like dark arms trying to keep the world outside. Even before we reached the main village, a strange silence wrapped around us. Not the natural silence of night, a hollow, listening silence, as if something was waiting. When the homes of our relatives finally appeared under the moonlight, small tin roofs glowing faintly, we felt a bit relieved. We greeted everyone, exchanged smiles, talked about the long years we hadn't visited. Kids ran around. The elders asked usual questions. Everything felt normal, but the whole time, my eyes kept drifting toward the far end of the village, toward our old house, the house where no one had lived since our grandparents passed away. After some tea and dinner with the relatives, we finally started walking toward it. The path was familiar, yet frighteningly unfamiliar. Fireflies blinked between the trees. Crickets echoed in the fields, but there was no movement near our home. No passing cattle, no crackling from leaves. The house stood at the edge of the village like a dark box, silent, lonely, and too still. When we opened the old iron gate, the metal screamed loudly, the sound slicing through the night. It felt like disturbing a sleeping beast. Inside the compound, weeds had grown tall, as if nature tried to swallow the house whole. Fallen leaves covered the ground like a forgotten grave. My footsteps sounded unusually loud. When we pushed open the front door, dust rushed out like it had been holding its breath for years. The house smelled old, damp, forgotten. We went from room to room, cleaning, removing cobwebs, sweeping away years of silence. The wooden doors creaked as if complaining after being forced open. The walls felt colder than outside. Even while cleaning, every single one of us kept glancing over shoulders, because it felt like someone else was in the house, watching, waiting. Finally, after hours of tidying, we began deciding who would sleep where. Everyone chose their rooms, laughing, talking. But the moment I stepped into my room, the air felt different. It was colder, still, too quiet. A strange heaviness pressed on my chest, not fear, but something deeper, something ancient. The ceiling looked normal. The bed was dusty, the windows covered in thick webs. But something about the room felt wrong. Still, I ignored it. The others went to their rooms, and the house slowly fell silent as everyone settled down. I was the only one who chose to sleep alone in a room. Stupid, maybe, but I didn't want to appear scared. When I closed the door and turned the lock from inside, the click sounded like sealing myself into a tomb. I lay on the bed after placing my bags beside me. The old fan spun slowly above, making a rhythmic clicking sound, but beyond that, I heard something else. From the ceiling, soft, slow footsteps. 1, 2, 3, as if someone was walking directly above my head. But the house had no second floor. My breath hitched. I sat up, listening again. The footsteps paused. A long silence. Then another sound. A faint dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the floorboards above a room that didn't exist. I stared at the locked door. No one could enter. No one should be there. Yet the sound continued. Slow, deliberate, almost playful. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear the blood rushing through my ears. But I forced myself to lie down again, trying to shake off the fear. Maybe it's just old wood. Old houses make sounds, I whispered to myself. But the house was not old. It was empty, abandoned, and it sounded like someone was walking just a few feet above me. I pulled the blanket closer, staring up into the darkness, trying to calm down, trying not to imagine the shape of whatever was moving up there. Hours passed. The ceiling no longer made noise, but the silence was worse. It felt like something was waiting for me to fall asleep, as if patience was part of its game. And with the sound of distant dogs barking somewhere far away, I slowly, unwillingly drifted into a fragile sleep, not knowing that the real horror had only just begun. The night settled over the village like a suffocating blanket, heavy, unmoving, and naturally silent. Inside the room, the air grew colder with every passing minute. I lay on my back, half awake, half asleep, floating between dream and awareness, when some shift in the air started pulling me back into consciousness. At first, I didn't know why I woke up. Then, I heard it. A single, soft tap, like a bare foot touching the ceiling above me. I froze. Another tap. Then a slow, deliberate shuffle, as if someone or something was walking again right above my bed. But this time, the footsteps were heavier, closer, too real. My breath stopped in my throat. I opened my eyes and stared at the darkness, listening carefully, hoping it was just a dream. But it wasn't. The footsteps moved slowly, almost rhythmically, tracing the exact outline of the room, step by step, circling above me, like a predator studying its prey. I tried to swallow, but my throat was dry. Maybe a dog climbed onto the roof, I whispered to myself. But the thought was silly. The house had no access. The roof was high, steep, impossible to climb without a ladder. Still, the sound continued. Soft, measured, human. I sat up slowly, my heart drumming inside my chest like a trapped bird. The faint moonlight coming through the dusty window drew pale lines across the room, but the corners remained drowned in darkness. Then suddenly, the footsteps stopped. The silence that followed was worse than the sound. It wasn't a natural silence. It was the silence of someone listening back. I remained still, barely daring to breathe. Then from the far corner of the room came a different sound, a faint scratching, like nails dragging lightly across old wood. Not on the wall, not on the floor, but from inside the ceiling, as if something was trying to carve its way through the wood, or trying to let me know it was there. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, pointing it upward. The ceiling looked old, cracked, dusty, but normal. No holes, no movement. Yet the sound continued, slow and steady, right above the light beam. I whispered shakily, "Stop, please stop." As if responding to my voice, the scratching abruptly ceased. The room plunged into a terrifying stillness again. I thought it was over, but I was wrong. A sudden thud hit directly above me, hard, heavy, as if something dropped onto the ceiling on all fours. The vibration shook the wooden frame. Dust rained down. My entire body stiffened. Something was up there. Something big. Something alive. I felt a pressure in the air. A presence so thick that it felt like the walls themselves were holding their breath. The darkness seemed to watch me. The shadows felt deeper, heavier. Then, slowly, the sound of crawling began. Not walking, crawling. Hands and legs scraping across the wood, dragging its body across the ceiling with unnatural slowness. Like a creature that didn't belong to the world above, or the world below. It crawled directly toward the spot above me, stopped and rested there. Not moving, not breathing, just waiting. I felt an icy wave rush across my arms. Every hair on my body stood up. My heartbeat thundered. The silence felt suffocating, like the air in the room had thickened. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time felt distorted. Then, from the ceiling, I heard the faintest sound, a soft exhale, like someone pressing their mouth against the wood and breathing down into the room. That was when I realized it wasn't just footsteps, or scratching, or crawling. It was breathing, right above me. Slow, deep, deliberate, like something was smelling me through the ceiling. I felt frozen in place, unable to move. The air around me vibrated with tension. Suddenly knock. A single, sharp knock came from inside the ceiling, directly above my forehead. My heart nearly stopped. Then another, then another. 3 steady knocks, as if something was asking to come down. My breathing turned shallow. I felt dizzy. My phone's flashlight flickered once, twice, and then died, plunging the room into complete darkness. I tried to turn it back on, but it wouldn't respond. The house became silent again, but this time, the silence felt like a warning, a final whisper of danger before something worse. And then, from the darkness above, just inches from my face, I heard it. A low, faint whisper, like a voice speaking through layers of wood. I couldn't understand the words, but I felt the meaning. It wasn't calling my name. It wasn't asking me anything. It was laughing, a light, broken, breathy laugh. Mocking, soft, too close. My hands trembled uncontrollably. I pressed myself against the wall, staring at the ceiling, terrified that something might burst through at any moment. But nothing happened. The laughter stopped. The footsteps vanished. The crawling faded. The presence slipped away. The room became dead still. But even in the silence, I knew one thing. Whatever was up there wasn't gone. It had simply moved, shifted, repositioned itself for what it wanted to do next. And that night, for the first time, I realized the room was not just empty for years. It had been occupied, and the occupant had finally noticed me. Sleep did not come easily after that. I sat against the cold wall for what felt like hours, waiting for another sound, another scratch, another laugh, another breath from the ceiling. My body was trembling, but my mind was frozen in a strange, numb awareness. The room felt alive, not like a place, but like a presence. The shadows stretched unnaturally across the corners, like they were reaching for me. The air had become so dense that every inhale felt like pulling air through wet cloth. Yet somehow, exhaustion began dragging me downward, pulling at my eyelids. Fear fought back, clawing inside my chest, trying to keep me awake. But eventually, I slipped, not into normal sleep, but into something in between, a half-conscious state where the room still existed around me, yet my body didn't respond. That was when it happened. At first, I felt a light tug on my pillow, just a soft, subtle pull, as if the pillowcase had caught on something. My mind brushed it off, but then came a harder pull, sharp, deliberate. My head jerked slightly. I opened my eyes instantly, though my vision was blurry. The room was still dark, silent. My body felt heavy, like I had sunk into the mattress. I tried to lift my arm, but it felt pinned by an invisible weight. Then the third pull, much stronger. The pillow slid a few inches down, dragging my head with it. My heart jumped into my throat. Someone or something was pulling it. I tried to sit up. My body wouldn't move. Panic rose like burning water inside my chest. My fingers twitched, but the rest of me remained paralyzed. The darkness around me felt thicker, pulsing with the cold energy. Then, slowly, the pillow started moving again. This time, it was not just being pulled. It felt like hands were gripping it. Cold, bony, strong hands. The pillow moved from behind my head and suddenly slipped away completely, yanked with a force so unnatural that it made a soft thud on the floor beside the bed. I gasped, but even my breath felt trapped. For a moment, nothing moved. Nothing made a sound. The silence pressed against my ears until they rang. I lay there, frozen, trying to force my mind to understand what was happening. Then, I felt it. A pressure on the bed, right beside me, as if someone had placed a hand, or knee, or entire weight on the mattress. The bed dipped slightly under that unseen weight. My breath hitched. My skin crawled. The pressure slowly moved toward my chest. Closer, 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 until something cold, heavy, and shapeless pressed onto my torso. A chilling force pinned me down, crushing the air out of my lungs. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My mouth was open, but the air around me felt too thick to push through. Then I felt fingers. Long, thin, icy fingers. They crawled up my chest, slow, deliberate, until they reached my neck. My eyes filled with tears from the pressure. I kicked my legs, but they barely moved. My hands shook uselessly at my sides, refusing to lift. The fingers tightened, not choking, covering my entire face, smothering. I felt cold skin press across my mouth, my nose, blocking my breath. My lungs screamed for air. Darkness closed in around the edges of my vision. I fought, I twisted, I thrashed the little I could, but the more I fought, the heavier the thing became. It pressed down harder and harder, as if enjoying my fear. I could hear it breathing, not like before, not faint or distant. This time, the breath was right on top of me. Slow, deep, wet, hungry. My chest burned with agony. My throat convulsed. The room spun violently. In the last moment before losing consciousness, I felt something warm drip onto my cheek. Thick, slow, a drop, another, Another, as if something was leaning over me, bleeding onto my face. That snapped something in me. A terrified burst of strength that came from pure survival. I jerked my head violently to the side. The pressure loosened for one fraction of a second, and in that tiny window, I sucked in a ragged, desperate breath. Air rushed into my lungs so fast it hurt like knives. With another desperate push, I twisted my body sideways, rolling off the bed and crashing onto the floor. The pressure on the bed vanished instantly, like the thing had jumped off the moment I escaped its grasp. I scrambled up, gasping, my vision spinning. I stumbled toward the door, hands trembling, legs barely holding me. I fumbled with the lock, my fingers slipping from fear and sweat. The door rattled under my shaking grip. Behind me from the bed, I heard the mattress rise. Slowly, as if something enormous was lifting itself up. Standing, watching, I didn't dare turn around. Finally, with one final twist, the lock clicked. I yanked the door open, and cold air from the hallway rushed in. Just when I stepped outside, ready to run, all 3 windows in my room burst open behind me. Not one, not 2, all 3. They didn't open normally. They flew open violently, slamming against the walls with explosive force. The sound shook the entire house. A freezing gust blasted out of the room, washing over my back, making every hair on my body stand upright. I felt it. Not wind, not air, a presence. Rushing out, following me. I ran, barefoot, half-conscious, heart exploding inside my chest. I didn't stop until I reached the others' rooms at the other end of the house. I collapsed against the door, shaking so violently I could barely form words. But I didn't have to, because everyone had woken up from the sound of the windows slamming open, and even they felt it. The cold wave that had rushed from my room into the hallway, and then simply vanished. I didn't go back into that room again. Not that night. Not ever. But the horror wasn't over. Morning would bring answers. Answers that would only deepen the darkness that had already wrapped itself around that forgotten room. The corridor outside my room felt colder than any place I had ever stood in my life. The air pressed against my skin like ice-soaked cloth. My heartbeat hammered inside my ears, while my fingers shook uncontrollably against the wooden doorframe of the room I had just escaped from. The others gathered around me sleepy, confused, frightened by the sound of the windows slamming open. Their yawns froze the moment they saw my face. I must have looked like something dragged out of a grave. "Are you okay?" someone whispered, but I couldn't speak. My throat felt scratched raw from choking, my lungs still struggling for breath. I tried to explain, but the words stuck. All I managed was a trembling shake of my head. Everyone understood enough from that. No one asked me to go back into the room. No one even looked toward it. Because even from here, far down the corridor, the room felt wrong. As if darkness itself was inside it, breathing against the doorway. We moved into the main hall and gathered together. The faint light from a lantern flickered on the walls, creating shaking shadows that made the room feel restless, like something was pacing through the darkness. My breath still hadn't fully settled. I kept touching my throat unconsciously, feeling the phantom of those cold, bony fingers that had tried to suffocate me moments ago. One of my cousins placed a blanket around my shoulders, but even with that warmth, the cold clung to me like a living thing. After a long silence, someone finally whispered, "What exactly happened?" I closed my eyes, and the images returned instantly. The footsteps, the crawling, the fingers, the suffocation, the windows flying open. I took a trembling breath, and spoke slowly, brokenly, almost whispering. There was something in the room, something on the bed. It tried to kill me. The words hung in the air like smoke. No one breathed. The lantern flame flickered violently, as if someone had blown on it. A sudden tension gripped the hall. The walls seemed to lean inward, listening. Someone tried to be logical. "Maybe you dreamed it. Maybe." "No." My voice cracked but was steady enough. "It wasn't a dream." I lifted my hand. There were marks on my skin. Faint, but unmistakable. Long, thin, finger-shaped pressure lines across my cheek and jaw. Everyone stared. No one argued after that. The silence in the hall grew deeper, not natural silence, but the kind that feels alive. Something was in the house. Something watching. Something that did not want us there. But there was nowhere else to go. It was the dead of night, freezing outside, and the nearest relative's house was far across the village in pitch black darkness. So we did the only thing we could do. We all gathered in one room, every single one of us. We locked the door. We pulled the curtains tight. We shut off the lantern and huddled on the floor together, listening, waiting. The night stretched endlessly. Every creak felt like footsteps. Every brush of wind felt like breathing. Every shadow felt like movement. At around 3 a.m. something happened. A sound small, distant, but unmistakable. Tap, tap, tap. From the corridor outside our room, we froze. No one dared whisper. The tapping continued slow, measured, moving across the hallway with deliberate pacing, almost like it was searching for us. Then it stopped. A few seconds passed. Then, creak. The door of my former room, the room I had escaped from, opened. On its own. We didn't see it, but we heard it. A long, heavy, dragging creak, as if someone was pushing the old wood open with enormous effort. We sat in the darkness, barely breathing. After the door opened, the tapping began again, louder now, closer, coming toward us. One soft footstep at a time. The air inside our room froze. It felt as if the oxygen itself had turned to stone. My cousin beside me whispered, voice trembling so faintly it was barely a sound. Don't move. Don't speak. Don't even breathe loudly. The footsteps reached right outside our door. They stopped. Absolute silence. Then knock. A single, soft knock on our door. Just one, but it was enough to send a shiver through every bone in my body. Another long silence. Then, knock, knock. Two more, slow, rhythmic, like someone knowing exactly who was inside and wanting us to open the door. We didn't move. We didn't breathe. We didn't blink. And then, as if realizing we wouldn't open, the presence moved away, but it didn't leave. No. It went back to my room. It entered, and from the darkness of the hallway, we heard a sound that made every single drop of blood in our bodies freeze. Something dragging across the floor. Long, heavy, slow dragging, like something pulling its own limbs, or dragging something weighty behind it. It lasted for minutes. Too many minutes. And then, footsteps. Crawling, scratching, whispers, breathing, all coming from my room. The entire time, the room we sat in felt colder, as if the cold was seeping in from under the door, as if the thing inside my room was creeping closer, slowly, carefully, waiting for someone to fall asleep. We did not sleep, not a single one of us. The night felt endless, stretching on and on. No sign of dawn. Time slowed. The house felt like a living creature exhaling around us. The shadows twitched. The air tightened. Every moment felt like the moment before something awful happened. We waited and waited, but the horror was not done. Because when dawn finally approached, something changed in the atmosphere. A shift so subtle yet so terrifying that all of us sensed it at the same time. The dragging stopped. The footsteps vanished. The whispers went silent. The entire house became still, silent, empty, too empty, as if whatever was inside my room had left the room, had left the house, had gone somewhere else, or worse, had come closer to us. And at that moment, as the first gray light of morning touched the horizon, I realized something cold and horrifying. The thing that had tried to suffocate me wasn't finished. It was waiting, watching, choosing the next moment to strike. And morning would bring answers. Answers far more terrifying than the darkness of the night. Morning did not arrive gently. It crept into the house like a wounded animal, weak, pale, and trembling. The first light of dawn seeped through the cracks of the curtains, thin and colorless, as if even the sun was afraid to enter. None of us had slept. We sat huddled together, our backs against the cold wall, our eyes burning and red, our breaths shallow and shaky. Every minute of the night had felt like an hour, every sound like a threat. Finally, when the faint gray of morning replaced the darkness, we dared to move. Someone whispered, "It's morning," but no one felt relief. The house was too quiet, too still, the kind of stillness that comes after something has moved, left, or changed its place. Slowly, we unlocked the door to the room where we hid. The wooden latch clicked loudly, echoing down the corridor like a scream. We crept out into the hallway, each step careful, fragile, terrified. The air outside felt different, disturbed, as if someone had walked through it moments before. The cold from the night had not faded. It lingered, sitting heavy on our skin, creeping into our bones. We didn't speak. We didn't look at each other. We just walked toward my room, the room that should never have been opened again. The door was slightly ajar, but no one had touched it. I felt a surge of nausea. My breath caught in my throat. I reached out with shaking fingers and pushed the door open. It creaked, a long, painful sound, as if the wood itself remembered what happened last night. Inside, the room was colder than the corridor, much colder, the kind of cold that doesn't belong to any morning. My bed looked disturbed, the blanket twisted, sheets dragged halfway to the floor. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the windows. All 3 windows, which had burst open violently last night, were now closed, tightly, perfectly, as if someone had carefully shut them from the inside. Everyone stared. Who closed them? Someone whispered, but no one answered, because we all knew the truth. No human had gone back into that room. We had locked ourselves away the entire night. Meaning, something had entered the room after we left. Something had stayed. Something had walked freely inside, while we trembled behind a locked door, and it had shut the windows, not to protect us, not to keep the cold out, but to trap whatever was inside. I stepped into the room, even though every part of me screamed not to. My feet felt heavy, like I was wading through invisible water. The moment I crossed the threshold, the door behind me creaked slightly, as if adjusting, reacting. I swallowed hard and slowly walked toward the bed. Then I saw it. On the pillow that had been ripped from under my head last night, there was a mark, a dark stain. At first, I thought it was dirt, or damp wood residue. But when I leaned closer, my stomach dropped. It wasn't dirt. It wasn't dust. It was blood. Dark, dried, smudged into the fabric, as if something had leaned over me, dripping onto my face while suffocating me. My hands shook uncontrollably. I stumbled backward, knocking into one of my cousins. Before I could speak, a faint sound broke the silence. Creak. All of us froze. Not from the window, not from the bed, not from the ceiling, but from the wardrobe in the far corner of the room. A wardrobe no one had opened in years. A wardrobe covered in dust, shut tight, untouched. The door moved again. Creak. Very slowly, very deliberately, opening, as if someone inside was pushing it with a single finger. Every hair on my body stood upright. My heart hammered so violently I felt dizzy. One of my cousins grabbed my arm. "Let's go," he whispered urgently. But I couldn't move, because as the wardrobe door opened wide, a cold, rotten smell drifted out, like damp soil mixed with old metal, and something far worse. It smelled like something dead, but not human, not animal. Something older, something wrong. And then thud. Something fell inside the wardrobe. We all stumbled backward in shock. But the worst part wasn't the thud. It was the sound that followed. A soft, slow dragging. Something was moving inside. Something heavy. Something trying to come forward. "Close the door," someone whispered, voice shaking uncontrollably. But my legs refused to listen. The dragging continued. Slow, rhythmic, scraping across the old wooden floor of the wardrobe. Then, a hand appeared. A pale, bony, impossibly long hand, with fingers that bent at wrong angles, slipped out from the shadows inside the wardrobe. It wasn't reaching for us. It was reaching for the floor, as if trying to pull itself out. I stumbled backwards so fast I nearly fell. One cousin screamed. Another grabbed my shoulder. Another whispered prayers under his breath. But the hand didn't stop. It gripped the edge of the wardrobe. Hard. The wood cracked under its strength. Someone shouted, "Run!" And we did. We ran out of the room, slamming the door shut behind us. Our feet pounded across the corridor, down the hall, through the house. The sunlight had begun to pour through the windows, but even daylight felt weak, powerless. We burst outside into the open air, gasping, sweating, trembling. The world outside looked normal, peaceful, bright. But inside us, something had broken. We told the elders in the family. We told the imam in the village. We explained everything. The imam listened silently, his eyes slowly narrowing as the story unfolded. When we finished, he didn't ask questions. He only said one sentence. That room was closed for too long. Places that remain empty do not stay empty. Then he looked directly at me and added, "Never sleep in that room again." But the horror had not ended, because when we locked the house, ready to leave for the imam's place, as we stepped outside, we heard it, from inside the house, from my room, knock. Just one, soft, but clear, on the inside of the window, as if something or someone was now standing there, watching us leave. Morning came slowly like a pale sheet of light crawling over a battlefield. After a long night of suffering, I barely slept. My entire body felt hollow, as if fear had scraped something out of me and left only a weak, trembling shell behind. My cousins sat around me with worried faces. They could see the terror in my eyes, even though I hadn't spoken much. But everyone was waiting for morning for one reason: to tell the local hujur what had happened. We walked to the old masjid at the end of the village road. The air was cold, the fog so thick, it felt like walking through smoke. Every rustle behind me made me flinch. I kept imagining someone, something, following us from the abandoned house. Inside the hujur's room, the air smelled of old paper, incense, and something ancient, something that didn't belong to this world. He sat silently, watching me with heavy, knowing eyes. "Bal beta, shab burrow, kor bal," he said. So I told him everything. The footsteps, the tug on my bedsheet, the suffocating pillow, the windows exploding open on their own, the unbearable presence inside that locked room. The hujur didn't interrupt. He didn't blink much either. He only listened, like a man who already knew the end of the story. When I finished, there was a long silence. A silence so heavy it felt like the air had thickened. Then he took a deep breath and said quietly, "That room wasn't empty last night." My skin tightened. He continued, "Oita onik din dor bandho, bashabat nai oi gor, shorer grow, manusher awa yawa, kichu nai, tumi jano ai deroner, jaga, ora poshondo kor. Ora, I whispered. He looked at me with an expression that froze something inside me. Jinn, and not the harmless kind. He went on to explain that when a room remains untouched, no human presence, no light, no voice, something else begins to claim it. They settle there, they build their own domain, and when a human suddenly enters after many years, especially at night, they don't like being disturbed. Then the hujur lowered his voice even more. Tumi jazail, gumi poral, tarpor, ora tok chenau, ora tok tarao, tua jodi, aro kichu, kan thact, hoit o aki, etikane bosh kota boltio, parbi na. A cold shiver shot down my spine. I felt sick. He quickly wrote some verses on a small piece of paper and handed it to me. Ai ta parishkar pani ti dai bari ti karo, ar oita gor, ar kio jabna, bandho reko, shab shomoy, oita ar manusher jano na. When we came back home, everyone gathered around. The house felt different in daylight, normal, warm, harmless. But the moment our eyes reached that room, the frozen, locked door standing silently at the end of the corridor, we all felt an unspoken dread. We did exactly what the hujur said. We sprinkled the blessed water, sealed the door, and placed a heavy lock on it. And then, we stepped back. The corridor suddenly felt colder, as if someone inside the room had come right up to the other side of the door, listening. From that day on, that room remained closed. No one slept there again. No one opened the window. No one even knocked. And every time I visit our village home, I avoid that part of the hallway, because whenever I walk past it, even after all these years, I swear and feel a presence standing on the other side. Quiet, patient, waiting for the door to open again. Did you enjoy the story? Let us know in the comments. And if you liked it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Horror Dream. Want more stories like this? subscribe to the Horror Dream, and we'll bring you more darkness, just for you. If you enjoy a little chill down your spine, stick around, like, share, and hit that subscribe button, right here on the Horror Dream. Your support keeps us going, so stay with us. Subscribe to the Horror Dream for more spine-tingling tales.